Negeri Pulau Pinang amat berbangga dengan pencapaian anda, klien. Hasrat Kerajaan Pakatan Rakyat untuk menjadikan negeri Pulau Pinang sebagai sebuah bandar pintar bertaraf antarabangsa tidak akan tercapai tanpa tahap mutu pendidikan yang tinggi. Demi objektif inilah kerajaan sentiasa melaksanakan pelbagai inisiatif bagi mempertingkatkan kualiti pendidikan di kalangan rakyatnya, terutama melalui sokongan kewangan dan galakan perubahan institusi pendidikan tinggi.
Pendidikan adalah segala-galanya dalam kita ingin menjadikan negeri Pulau Pinang sebuah negeri yang bertaraf antarabangsa pada masa hadapan. Daripada generasi muda inilah kerajaan negeri ingin mengiktiraf betapa pentingnya pendidikan dan pembelajaran, kerana hanya dengan pelajaran yang baik dapat memberikan suatu masyarakat yang berfikir bagaimana untuk memajukan negeri dan negara kita.
Selamat petang dan salam bersih kepada semua. Lebih dahulu saya ingin ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua pihak yang telah menjayakan majlis yang ringkas tetapi penuh bermakna pada petang ini. Selepas bertungkus lumus dan berusaha untuk 2 tahun ini, anda semua telah mendapat keputusan terbaik, iaitu di antara 63 orang calon STPM Pulau Pinang tahun lepas yang mendapat keputusan Cemerlang 4A atau PNGK 4.0 daripada sekolah-sekolah menengah pelbagai aliran di negeri ini. Tahniah dan syabas kepada anda semua. Tapi yang lebih penting ialah kepada guru-guru dan ibu bapa. Kerana tanpa guru-guru dan ibu bapa, saya rasa susah untuk kita bersama-sama mendapat penghargaan, mendapat pengiktirafan dalam bentuk sijil, insentif kewangan. Tak banyaklah, RM600 seorang. Dan kita lihat bahawa tahun ini ada 63 orang, tahun lepas 72 orang. Ini ada kurang sikit. Tapi tak apa, asalkan kita boleh teruskan program ini. Dan saya juga ingin ucapkan terima kasih kepada Jabatan Pendidikan kerana telah memberikan maklumat supaya kita dapat senarai pelajar-pelajar Cemerlang. Yang penting seperti yang saya sebut tadi ialah ibu bapa dan guru. Dan guru adalah yang paling utama sekali. Kerana guru boleh menjadi pencetus sumber inspirasi untuk kita menjadi lebih baik, ataupun guru itu boleh memadamkan sebarang keinginan untuk terus belajar. So di sini anda semua dapat guru-guru baik. Jangan lupa sama guru-guru anda. Right or not? Don't forget your teachers. Because without your teachers, I don't think you'll be here this evening. After all, let's be frank, good teachers really can push you forward the extra mile. Not very good teachers, sometimes the teachers you hate the most, actually you should thank them the most. Correct or not? Because they want you to excel and they push you that extra mile. And I think in many respects, we are facing a crisis of educational standards. I think you all may have read the latest program of International Student Assessment Results, PISA, where Malaysia was assessed amongst all the countries in the world, especially in terms of mathematics. Under this PISA assessment, Malaysia is ranked out of 65 countries Malaysian students are ranked number 52. We are not only worse than Singapore, Korea, Shanghai, Taiwan, Hong Kong, we are now even worse than Thailand and Vietnam. So next time you see Vietnamese workers, don't laugh at them, they are better than you. Now what happened? What happened to cause our standards to deteriorate? Then we got to look at it frankly, that we have failed to maintain our standards. Now, of course, when I say that, I'm not talking about you. You are at the top. We are talking about the general student population. And this must be addressed. Because the future of the country doesn't rest with 63 students. It rests with all the students who may not be the top, but also they will play an important role in our country's future. And if we do not have that quality and standards, Malaysia cannot move forward. If you look at the assessment by PISA, it is very worrying. We are in fact 3 years behind the best students in Korea or Shanghai. That means if there is a standard 5 student in Malaysia, you go to Korea, you only standard 2 standard, even though it's the same age. That is worrying. So what is the solution? You can highlight the problem, but you must find the solution. Where is the problem? I think the problem, of course, is easy to identify. The solution is hard to seek and hard to find. If you look at the report by McKinsey, the global management consulting firm, in trying to identify the causes of good education quality, McKinsey studied 25 of the world's top school systems, especially the top performers in the PISA rankings. Not only, as I said, the top performers like Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, but also those that are on the upper levels. And they concluded that if you want our schools to be top schools, they need to do 3 things. The schools need to do 3 things. Number 1, they must get the best teachers. Number 2, they must get the best out of the teachers. And number 3, of course, they must step in when students fall behind. I think this is where we need to have educational reforms. And perhaps the Education Ministry needs to invest in areas that matters most. According to McKinsey, those top performers are in countries which invest the most at the early age of a student's education, when the student is 6 to 15 years old. And if you look at the charts in terms of explanation, in terms of expenditure and investment, these countries invest more than 100% of their per capita GDP. For example, you look at top countries, they spend up to more than 200% of their per capita GDP on students of the age from 6 to 15. That 10-year initial period of a student's education. How much does Malaysia spend? The OECD average, that means those developed countries, the average is 147% of their per capita GDP. For Malaysia, developed countries, OECD, they spend 147%. Malaysia spends how much? Malaysia spends only 12%. We spend only 12%. Developed countries spend 143%. So even though we spend a lot of education, we are not spending on the initial period of a student's life, of a student's academic career, because this is where, if they have a good start, then they can continue from where they started from. OECD 147%, Malaysia 12%, Thailand 43%. No wonder Thailand is ahead of us. That is why I think there need to be education reforms. If we want to be back on top, the top third, now we are on the bottom. 52 out of 65, bottom 20%. So if you want to be on the top third, not on the bottom 20%, I think there needs to be a reorientation. There must be education reforms. That's number one. Investing in education of a student from 6 to 15. 6 years to 15 years. Number two, what we need to do is perhaps something that is never even thought of possible, the question of decentralization of school making decisions. Giving schools a power to decide how to be the top performing schools. Decentralization. And this is something that, of course, is very, very different. But if we want to get back on top, we have to do things different. The problem with our education system is that they feel it must be uniform. One size fits all. You go to industry nowadays, the method or the approach of one size fits all does not work anymore. You look at the internet, it is against the entire concept of one size fits all. It is a question of customization, customized based on the needs of the user and the consumer. So if we still adopt a one size fits all, I mean, it doesn't matter whether you are big, small, just give you one standard size, and that's it. Somebody says that when you have a one size fits all, it is just like teaching a fish how to climb a tree. Can you teach a fish how to climb a tree or not? Can you do that? You can't do that. No matter how much you teach him, he cannot climb a tree. A fish cannot climb a tree. Just like you teach a fish to swim you teach a bird to swim underwater. You cannot do that. The one size fits all concept fails. So you must have customized. And the only way to do that is to go for decentralization. So that schools, because of local circumstances, they will know what is best for their students. How to ensure their schools become the top performer. And this is what we are proposing. It's nothing new. If you go outside, of course, it will be very new in Malaysia. Maju menjadi sebuah negara maju. Kalau dari segi perbelanjaan, standard 143%, kita hanya belanja 12%. So saya rasa itulah perbezaan kalau kita nak meningkatkan sistem pendidikan kita. I think one final point before I end my speech is that I want to wish all the top students here the best. Yet only started, it's not the end, it's only the beginning. But make sure that when you finally end your academic career, whether it's degree, masters or PhD, make sure you come back home to Pinang. Because you know we have worked very hard. We have worked very, very hard over the last 6 years to make Pinang cleaner, greener, safer and healthier, so that we have no reason not to come back. So if we don't come back, I think our parents will look for you. And I feel that Pinang is the best place for you to not only grow your career, but to bring up the family. So this 600 ringgit is to remind you that we care for you. If you don't care for us back, return, take back the 600. So saya nak sudahi ucapan saya dengan harapan bahawa Semua pun ini sumbangannya tidak seberapa, tetapi ia boleh menjadi suatu pemantik semangat. Bukan sahaja untuk meraihkan kecemerlangan anda semua, tapi juga untuk mengucapkan terima kasih kepada ibu bapa anda dan juga sekolah anda. Dan oleh itu bukan sahaja meraihkan pelajar-pelajar Cemerlang, tapi juga sekolah-sekolah yang mencapai prestasi yang baik. Terima kasih dan juga salam berjaya.
Jika kita sampai kepada yang berhormat, dia akan Seterusnya dari Sekolah Menengah Jenis Bangsaan Cemerlang Georgetown dijemput Hui Kian Kian. Azmi.
Majlis Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Cemerlang Balik Pulau, Nurliana binti Osman.
Seterusnya dari Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Negeri Kepala Mata dijemput Syakira binti Farid. Nurliana binti Osman dari Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Negeri Balik Pulau. Pulau Pinang bagi Sijil Tinggi Pelajaran Malaysia tahun 2013 adalah Sekolah Menengah Jenis Kebangsaan Jipsin Bukit Pertama.